What is up, everybody? Hello, hi, and welcome to the channel. If you're new around these parts, I am Zombie Chris. I am your ghost host, your host with the most. And on this channel, we do everything from talking about horror movies, doing horror reviews, theme park stuff, as well as we even have a podcast. So we pretty much are jam-packed on this channel to give you a wide variety of things. On today's video, we are going to be doing a spoiler-free, which is important to say, review of Jordan Peele's new movie, Us. Us tells the story of a family's serenity turns to chaos when a group of doppelgangers begins to terrorize them. Now, if you've seen the trailer, you pretty much know most of that. I went into this movie blind. I didn't even watch a trailer. I stayed away from every single thing about this movie, minus two things. And I knew there was the song being played. I got 5 on it. And I knew about the line that the dad says, you want to get crazy? We can get crazy. I'll talk more about him later in this review. Jordan Peele is back after he gave us Get Out, which was a phenomenal, groundbreaking horror movie. And it is so hard for a director to probably follow that up, obviously. That's a tough cookie to swallow. Us, on the other hand, is a totally different bowl of spaghetti, if that makes any kind of sense. It's like you use one bowl with Italian sausage and one bowl you got some smoked barbecue sausage, if that makes any kind of sense. They're both spaghetti. Like, they're both horror movies, but they're quite different in ways, way different. And I believe to say the crowd that probably loves Get Out and went to go see this thinking it was going to be similar is going to be vastly disappointed. But before we tackle all of that, let's just talk about the film itself. Jordan Peele is no stranger to doing beautiful shots, storytelling that is just phenomenal, especially when you think about what kind of horror movies we get nowadays. Like, the level of storytelling in this movie from start to finish, well, maybe from start to somewhere around that third act, is complete. It is story driven. These characters are pushed to their limits. There's so many things in telling about these characters' journey. And Lupita, wow, oh wow, she deserves the praise that she's going to get, because she is the main character in this movie. Throughout this movie, you're kind of following her journey more so than the family's journey. And much like how Get Out, you were following the main character's journey throughout this strange, weird sci-fi world that he's kind of thrown into, Lupita has to play 2 roles in this movie. Well, pretty much everybody has to play 2 roles in this movie. At least most of the main characters, or the characters that we come across, play a factor of being themselves in the doppelganger, and it is done phenomenally. You can clearly see there's a difference in these characters. You never feel as if one character is just the same character doing kind of like different acting, much like you would get in a Tyler Perry's Medea film, where you see Tyler Perry's doing multiple characters, but it's still just Tyler Perry. This character arc of how they are opposite and how they're closely related but yet they're different, and how that intriguing tells more to just life itself in this movie. A whole lot to say for a horror film that starts out being more so a home invasion type movie, but yet kind of propels itself to be even more than that once the story goes on from there. There's some beautiful shots. It opens up. There's some beautiful shots at the end. All through this movie, there is just gorgeousness. I'm gonna make that word, gorgeousness on the screen. And it's hard to really compare Get Out to this film. I mean, most people will probably ask you, so how does it compare to Get Out? Is it better than Get Out, or is this better? That's always going to be a thing with Jordan Peele. Everybody's going to be comparing his movies to Get Out, or comparing his movies to his previous work once he, has 4 and 5, 6 films down the line. It's just like with Wes Craven. Everyone's going to compare everything he did to either Scream or Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just how it goes. Same with John Carpenter and Halloween. Everything gets compared to probably The Thing and Halloween for John Carpenter. And this is no exception. And I'll talk a little bit about that in the wrap-up section. With all that being said, that is good. The horror's there. It's tense. Once the home invasion stuff happens, I found myself on the edge of my seat all the way to about the 3rd act in this movie. The characters are all fantastic. Just the look of this movie, the settings are gorgeous. They're creepy. They're inviting. All right, you're probably thinking, hey, you're saying all this good stuff. This all sounds good. Sounds fantastic. But what's bad? I mean, is there anything bad in this movie? Unfortunately, yes, there is. And we're going to talk all about that right now. I have to get his name right. So one second. And his name is Winston Duke, who plays the father figure in this present day horror film. I didn't quite like him. I didn't like his acting. I didn't like not so much his character, because I found his character to be likable, but the actor himself, I felt I would have rather seen someone else in this type of role. I think we could have had someone else. It would have elevated the movie a bit more. His acting comes off just weird at times. It's very almost stiff in a way where he doesn't know how to portray these lines with any kind of emotion or to emote most of this movie.
I already done told y'all to get off my property, okay? So if y'all want to get crazy, we can get crazy. Now the cops are already on their way.
That's my really big gripe with it, because everyone else does a fantastic job at their parts, from the kids to Lupita to, child Lupita to the parents, friends that they meet up with once they get down there to the beach. Even those characters themselves are great at acting. But the dad, to me, just stuck out as not being that good. And for me, there were a few choices in the movie, and I can't go into spoiler section, a spoiler talk with this. So I'll say the music in some of the settings or some of the scenes to me felt very off. It didn't feel like the right kind of choices, in my opinion. I would have probably went with different choices, but that's, I guess, me kind of nitpicking in that department. Some of the music works, and some of it is very tense, and some of it is rather goofy. There are a few scenes in here which I don't quite understand the comedic level. And when I saw this with an audience, they were laughing a majority of the time, but I didn't find myself laughing that often. There were a few times there was a chuckle here and there. There was some funny stuff, but a lot of stuff was just very oddball humor. I guess it's more like a dark humor, and I felt myself being more tense in the situation than being humored in this really dark, scary, tense time. And the difference with that in Get Out is with Get Out, you had Lil Rel, who provided the comedic relief. And we kind of, laughed whenever he came on, and we kind of related to his character. It's not quite like that in this film. I mean, most of the characters do little funny things here and there, but I didn't find myself laughing at them like I was laughing at Lil Rel. And speaking of relatable characters, I have to say, At no time did I feel like I related to this family. At least with Get Out, I related to the main character just being a black American in that situation. Not so much with the interracial dating scene, but just, being like the only black person at a party. I could relate to that. I could relate to the fear of police. I could relate to Lil Rel's character, even, being that was supposed to be us, the audience, screaming at him like, what are you doing? Don't go into this crazy situation. In this movie, I didn't quite feel like I related to any of the characters. And let's go ahead and talk about that third act. Oh man, there's a lot that goes into this third act. And believe it or not, it's going to sway the audience. And that's where I'm thinking I'm seeing a lot of people giving it really either praise or they're giving it thumbs down, because everything up to that point is amazing. It's masterful, it's shot well, it's tense. You do not know where the story goes from this point. But I felt like in that third act, I kind of figured out where things were going to go, or at least certain things. And it just kind of became sort of stale in a way. I mean, beautiful, but stale in a way to where I'm just sitting there watching going, all right, let's move on to the next thing. And what's going to happen next? Oh, okay, yeah, I kind of figured that was going to happen. And really the film takes a different take of something like Hereditary, where I didn't quite enjoy the journey at the end because it just left me going. And with this movie itself, it takes situations and makes you rethink a lot of things throughout this movie, to where you're asking more questions, even though they're kind of explaining a majority of it. I felt it would have been best to just leave a lot of that out. A lot of that, just leave it up to mystery, leave it up to us wondering about a lot of things, as opposed to them explaining some things and then leaving you still with questions at the end. There's a little bit in that third act and kind of the ending, which I'm not going to spoil on this spoiler-free review. I felt the ending did not need to happen. It could have been cut. That ending scene, not the ending shot, but the ending scene could have been cut out. And I would have liked the mystery of us feeling one way or another on that. And that is it for my spoiler-free review on Jordan Peele's Us. If you enjoyed it, please leave this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and stay tuned because we are doing a spoiler talk. Sort of not really a review, but I guess you just call it a spoiler talk on the movie Us. Stay tuned for that, and thank you guys for the support. We're almost at 4K. Anything else I got? Also, leave it down in the comment section if you saw the movie. What did you think? Spoiler free, obviously. Don't spoiler comments, because I will take those out. So don't leave any spoilers in there. Or if you're going to do a spoiler, do a warning or something before you put that in there. So thank you guys. That is it. Zombie Chris, out of here. Peace out.